So let's go with another short video for you today. You already know what this figure is, and of course you probably already have him in your hands, somewhere on your shelf maybe. It's a great figure, it's got a lot of great detail. However, I'm not going to get into the paint side of it because this video is really about how much of a difference a head sculpt can make on a figure. You already know how to do a black wash, you already know how to silver paint. I'm just going to show you what I did to the belt to make it pop a little bit more, and I just added some gold paint and some silver to really make those details pop. And of course, being that it is a plastic or a vinyl, it doesn't take the paint right away. You have to get it under a few coats of paint for it to really adhere properly. And then you do the weathering on top of that, and then you've got your finalized utility belt. And there's a lot of other details that are in the figure that are done just the same way, so there's no need to show you an extended video about the same technique all over the figure if there's anything different, except maybe, well, this is it. Very basic painting. You can do it all with one brush. If you want to go with smaller details, you can go with a smaller brush. Just remember to always seal your work with your Mr. Super Clear or your preferred transparent clear coat, whether it's a matte or a glossy finish. I prefer the matte finish because it allows you to keep painting on the surface with a nice texture, and it will catch the paint really well. Then of course you can reseal that one more time. Now if you want to have a different tone of textures, then you seal it with the matte finish and then go over certain parts like maybe these metal finishes, and you go over those with a high gloss clear coat so you can have a difference in the finish of the different textures. In any case, I'm going to leave you with this segment here, and I'm going to show you what I did to paint that custom action figurehead. So once you're done with painting the details on the body itself, it's time to paint the head. And if you've got an airbrush, this is where it really comes out beneficial to have one. Even if it's inexpensive, you can get one off of Amazon for $35 or even $60, and you'll still come out ahead because you'll have a better paint job with that airbrush. You can also do this with a manual brush, of course, but it's just going to be that much more longer and tedious, especially in blending in the different tones that you need to get for the skin. Naturally, I started off by primering the surface. This is a Model Masters primer. Now I'm using a Vallejo primer. They're very similar, except that the Vallejo does take a little longer to dry, and the one that I purchased does not dry in a matte finish. The one here on screen does dry in a matte finish. Make sure your airbrush is completely and thoroughly cleaned out before you start with any other paint that is going in there. That way you don't have a mixture of different paints and you're getting the wrong tone on the surface. Once you've got that done, let that dry and then come back with your washes and make those different tones. But now there's a whole video on that if you want to check that out. Let me show you what I ended up with as far as this portrait. So this video is to show you exactly how much a figure changes with the correct portrait that's on its shoulders. It really makes a big difference. So this is the final stage of painting this portrait, and if you want to see the other steps, I do have another video in the playlist. You can take a look at that as far as painting portraits. But as you can see here, and as I mentioned before, I always start with the edge of the hair, paint that in black, so I have a center portion to paint with a larger brush, and the process just goes that much quicker. As with any other work that you do, make sure you seal it before you continue with any other touch-ups that you want to do to this portrait, whether it's adding gray hair or adding the facial hair, etc., or painting the eyes. Make sure you seal it with a clear coat. Now here is the final step. It's already set. I'm just going to add the highlights on the lips and the eyes. This is a 3D sculpt by Action Figure Customs out of Canada, and it comes in a blank resin form, and I just paint it. I don't do any 3D printing. Now when attaching the head, make sure you fill it with your preferred material. I use epoxy sculpt because I want it to harden and I want a good solid finish, and I want it to be interchangeable if need be. In this case, this head also needed a little bit of extra work because the back of the neck is not long enough. There's not enough material there to cover the actual base of the neck on the figure, so it looks like the head is floating. So by adding just a bit more sculpting on the back, I was able to close that gap and make it look that much better. So take a look at the project you're working on, take a look at the resin sculpt that you purchased, and before you do anything else, make sure it fits properly so that your figure looks really good. So I hope the video helps you out, gives you some ideas. It is a short video. If you like, comment, subscribe, and of course, share it. And don't forget to keep customizing.